Lightning everywhere.
And then within like 2 minutes, the wind's blowing 65, 70 miles an hour. The waves are 3-4 foot. I'm talking lightning palooza, dude. It was like bang, 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 bang. And I was scared shitless. I'm not going to lie. I was very scared.
He was white as a ghost.
Yeah. It's like
you guys just have all the cool new hats. I got the old school.
Dude, that's
not that old.
True, dude.
He's the founder.
I still think we should do a hat contest for the greasiest hat.
But
whoever posts the greasiest FFP hat gets a new one.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean? Like salty, just nasty as ever.
But before we do this, we should start. Like, what are we going to talk about?
Yeah,
we need to. Because the last time I think
we just
really
share our best fishing stories, like from fishing with each other. And we have some fishing stories we can talk about today too. We have so many, but we'll try to each maybe like tell one story that is our, that comes to mind recently.
The time the time we all almost died underneath the bridge.
I was thinking about that one too.
Yeah,
I was also thinking about the one where we fished Lizard Flat.
Which time?
Well, today. No,
Monument. Ty's favorite.
Bleep that out. We don't want to discuss any. We don't want to disclose any locations.
Yeah.
The Monument's gone now. So no one will even know.
The Yankees
it's actually called.
It means we can't fish it anymore.
Everyone usually calls it Fag Beach because I guess gay people go there. But
I would call it that for sure. It's my least favorite spot.
Really? I'm not going over there.
Why is it your least favorite spot?
We've never caught a fish there. 1, 2. It's like right next to the highway, so you just hear like. I
caught one redfish there with you. And then we've seen fish there.
It's just everybody just live baits there. That's why you can't catch them.
I don't like it. It's just a weird shoreline too. Like weird flat and shoreline.
It'd be cool if there was like snook up on the sand or something.
There is.
There is. I think
we've seen some giants, but you ain't catching them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I like that flat because it's hard to catch fish using artificials when the tide is high. Yeah. And there's no place for the fish to go. They're just going to be on. They're just going to be on that beach.
Yep.
So that's why I like it because I really don't have many good high tide artificial spots because they get so far. They get so far underneath mangroves. Are we rolling?
Is this? Oh, we're live.
Rolling.
Oh, shoot.
All right, guys. Welcome to the Florida Fishing Products Podcast. Today we're going to be going through some of our favorite. Just moments we've had fishing together over the last few years. None of us had any time to think about this. We literally thought about this for 3 minutes. So whatever comes to mind first is basically what we're going to talk about today. And then we'll talk about probably our day on the water too, which was a little bit of a bust, but I think we salvaged it. I think we salvaged it pretty well after it's all said and done, all things considered. But anyways,
Kyle, did you tell your wife you were fishing today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good man.
Yes.
My wife texted me. She's got a 101.7 degree fever. Oh, no. But she never texts me bad things when I'm on the water.
See what you did there. Well, fishing stories. What do you guys got? I got one that's pretty decent. I remember. So Kyle, let me give you a little background on Kyle.
Uh-oh.
He would rather catch a redfish in Tampa Bay than probably go to Belize for permit or bonefish, tarpon. Like, he's brainwashed by redfish. So one day we were out
Real quick, is there anything you would rather do than catch redfish in Tampa Bay? Or is there like another spot? Redfish and Steenhatchee is very close to the shore.
That's it.
Are we just talking about fishing things that I'd rather do than catch redfish? Okay. Then it would be catch redfish in Tampa Bay or Steenhatchee.
Gotcha.
Just catching redfish, period.
So he's ate up with it. Me and Kenny have tried to break him with different species, and he doesn't seem to budge. Although he did go to Kenny's bachelor party.
I put him on a 35-inch snook. It was like his biggest snook.
Doesn't
Two
care.
different 35-inch. Didn't care.
Yeah,
Didn't
no big
care.
deal. Yeah.
He was not excited at all. It was like, I think, right on the edge of being his biggest snook. Was it your biggest snook? Like 1 inch maybe?
See, I think we were also using bait. You know, like it's like, you know, it is different when you are using artificial.
That's
we
true.
saw both fish eat. It was sick.
But didn't you catch a 40?
You sight casted them. He sight casted them.
I caught, but like
40 on
like
artificial,
like a couple months after that, I caught like 240s back to back cast pretty much.
And you didn't even care.
Yes, I did. I was pumped because it was my first 40.
Okay.
But the 35
on like
inch
artificial
fish on
you would have rather caught a redfish.
Yeah.
40-inch
red.
When I was fishing for those snook, I was actually hoping that.
Have you ever
redfish.
caught a 40-inch redfish?
Yes.
Where? When?
2 times. One time was fishing underneath the Howard Franklin for drum, for the big black drum, and we were using
bait?
crab.
Doesn't count.
Yeah, it
Doesn't count.
And then the other one was a 41-inch fish, sight fish, probably 10 feet from the boat using artificial.
Where was that one? Or when was that one?
That was right before the tournament where we almost killed Kale.
Mm.
I was pre-fishing.
Everybody almost died. Okay, it wasn't just me.
Yeah, but I was pre-fishing for that tournament with, Mr. Bernie. And
Tampa Bay or Sarasota? That was in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Maximo, Skyway area.
Gotcha.
We can, put in a picture of that fish.
I don't remember that fish.
We can put in a picture of that fish.
So now you guys know how big of a redfish nerd Kyle is. Okay, so we were out fishing one day. I think it was pre-fishing for a tournament. You had a tournament or something, and we were out a couple days before. And Kyle's getting mad, right? So I think I caught a fish. I believe you were with us. I think Ty caught a fish as well. It was Kyle's turn to get up on the bow. He was in a bit of a slump, and he pulls up like a 22-inch trout. And he was so mad, dude. He grabbed it.
Mind you, that's a stud trout on the west coast of Florida. That's a good trout.
We're like hyping him up, like, dude, that's a big trout. Like, it's nice trout, Kyle. Kyle unhooks it, hucks it as far as he can, and goes, "No, I hate trout. It's not a redfish." But
there's more to this. There's more to that.
There's a long history.
We were in a school of tailing redfish. I casted into a school of tailing redfish. And I pull out the trout.
How many times does that happen to you? Because I feel like that's
it actually happens a pretty good amount. Sometimes we get snook out of those tailing redfish. Sometimes we get trout.
You're a trout tickler, dude. You've just been known to do it.
Very, very true.
You know what I mean?
He likes to pull out his trout.
He does, dude. Well said,
Factual.
Kenny. Well said.
Factual. So that is your favorite story.
Dude, I was told I was looking for a fishing story like 4 minutes ago. So that's one I could think of. Let me incubate. I think I got more, but we'll go to the next one.
We'll come back to you.
Wait, can
I just trophy trout off the boat? I was like, "You want a picture?" And before I could say picture, you had that thing thrown, and you were like so mad. And I was like, "Never seen anybody mad catching a trophy trout."
I was so pissed. We should talk about how you cast into a school of permit on fly. You had never caught a fish on fly.
Yeah,
you cast into a school of permit and you pull out a puffer fish.
I'll keep it quick because you guys weren't with us, but we were with one of the FFP longtime captains, Will Osborne, and Will Osborne is a stick. This guy kind of frustrates me when it comes to fishing because he's also like, "Oh, you haven't caught this? You haven't caught that? Come on, okay, take us an hour."
Like a third generation commercial fisherman.
Yeah, your boy can check anything off you need checked. So I told him I had gotten into fly fishing. I'd caught some bass, and I kind of want to get into salt. And he goes, "Bro, I know where some permit are on a flat. Want to go catch them?" And in my head, I was like, shouldn't have anything to do with catching a permit on fly at this point in my career. But yes, Will, I would love to go. So I went with him. We're in a bay boat. He throws live bait mainly, so it's definitely not ideal for fly fishing. He pulls up to this flat, and he goes, "See them shines?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "Those are all permit." I'm like, "Well, here we go." So I cast fly in the middle of the permit. If by some miracle I got it to him and in the fish. I start stripping, and in my head, I'll never forget, I was thinking, I don't deserve this. This is so stupid. Like, this shouldn't be my first saltwater fish. So as I'm thinking that, I come tight, and I'm like, yeah, and Will's like, "There he is, brother." We're kind of celebrating, and then I pulled out a puffer fish out of about 30 permit. So I think that was like the fly gods just being like, "Tone it down, buddy."
Yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
You can't go from largemouth to permit. It's just, there's no way.
There's like 500 fish in that mix before you get to permit.
That was sad, but
and to pick it out of a school, like off the beach.
Oh, it was not purist by any means, but it was probably like a 4-pound permit, little guy. But I would have been talking smack to everybody.
But you pulled out a 4-pound puffer.
No, it was like a 6-inch puffer. It felt big when it ate.
Did anyone else see the debate on like social media about permit fishing? Specifically on fly, like they were talking about this very thing. Like if your first permit on fly is like a 12-inch permit, which a lot of people catch those little guys, it doesn't count. And then people started like chiming in, well, if you catch one off a wreck, it doesn't count. If you catch one on live, it doesn't count. Then if it's not on the flats in the Florida Keys, it does not count.
Exactly.
If it's in Belize, it definitely does not count.
That's cheating. They eat there.
I don't know how far.
I think because you always see the picture of people literally like their permit like this big.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's basically a pompano.
Yeah.
Like that's a permit that's 10 pounds, 20 pounds. Like the odds of you catching that fish over one this big is like
much
Probably
lower.
100 to 1 or
Yeah.
something crazy.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
Yeah.
it's not
Well, I didn't
Whereas,
catch one.
so you're
so I
saying
don't know.
catching one this size is you're much more likely to catch one this size
Right.
versus a bigger one.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can
exactly.
catch them like
'Cause
in the surf.
they're
you catch
so
'em
small you can catch them anywhere. Like we have them at
off
the
the
power
beaches.
plants or at the beaches. People
Mhm.
catch them on pompano jigs. Like
Yeah.
you can't really compare that to like catching a big one sight fish on fly that was
Mhm.
like tailing or something.
It's
And
kinda
then
like
you
sight
have-
fishing like an 18-inch redfish. You
Yeah.
know, it's like
Yeah.
those fish. When I see those fish, I know they're much more likely to eat.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, they're just less seasoned.
And then you
Young.
have Mr. Bernie, his first permanent fly, 43 pounds. I mean, absolutely
Doesn't
monster.
count. He was with Billy Pate.
Billy Knowles.
Billy Knowles. Oh,
Billy
even
Might as
better.
well have been
Using
Billy
a-
Pate.
Same
yeah.
thing.
Billy Knowles using a Billy Pate reel. So
Okay.
You
I knew
aren't
he was
totally wrong.
involved somehow.
But yeah, I mean, that was an absolute monster permit.
Yeah.
That was back in the 90s when, the keys
And
weren't
dude,
really touched.
that boat came up for sale on Facebook like a year and a half ago. It was a Maverick Mirage 1, maybe.
Yeah,
Old. And I'm just going through the pictures this guy had on his listing, and one of the pictures was Mr. Bernie holding that giant permit. And I was
Yeah.
like, check this out, Kyle. I think that's your uncle
Yeah.
holding a permit on the front of this boat that's for sale.
And then
Dang.
Billy's granddaughter bought that boat. So it stayed with them, which is
it
pretty
needs-
cool.
it
You
needs
know,
to go in a museum.
I mean, and it's crazy that it started with you sending me that, me sending it to Mr. Bernie, and then him sending it to them, and then they ended up buying it.
That's cool.
That's
So
gonna be your
it's a full
skiff
circle.
someday. We were talking about it the other day since you've been having some issues with your boat. I was like, you're gonna be buried in your boat. Either that or you're gonna pass it on to your kids. I was
Oh,
like,
I'm 100%
You're gonna
pass
light
it
it on
on.
fire. They're gonna push it out. It's gonna be like a Viking death ritual.
Definitely.
for Kyle.
I'm just gonna.
Which one is it? Is it gonna be a Viking death ritual? Like we're gonna push you off the beach and you're gonna be up in flames? Probably. I say we because you're gonna maybe die 20 years earlier because of the Slurpee addiction.
If we get the blood
or
work done.
are you gonna give it to your son?
I'm probably going to give it to my son. Is the plan? If not, I'm going to take it out of Bunce's Pass, and I'm just going to head west.
He's already thought about this.
I'm heading in. I'm going to head into the Gulf of America now. It's not the Gulf of
That's
Mexico
tight,
anymore.
yeah.
The Gulf of America. And if I hit Mexico in 300 miles with favorable winds, probably, then I will live there. But if not, then I go out.
I'm pretty sure it's further than
blaze of
300
glory.
miles, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how far.
I think that the middle ground is like 140 miles.
170.
I don't think the middle ground is
That's
exactly
not
in the middle.
halfway. That's not even close to halfway.
Why is it called middle?
True. Good point.
I thought that was a fair.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
a
think,
fair assumption.
I don't
We-
think there's
I'll give
any
you that.
correlation, but yeah.
No.
Okay, well,
No,
if
no,
I
just
make
a
it to
name.
Mexico,
I think you should give it to your son and get your ashes put in some sea deck. Get it pimped out, and then you're on the boat with your
You can
son.
Put it in the steering.
That is
wheel.
The
pretty cool.
steering wheel ball, dude. Kyle's in there.
When he
the
redoes it for the
bilge
fourth
where I live.
time, you could put it in the.
When the
in the
stringers
resin?
go out again in 30 years. It's all right.
I know a
Soft
guy who
subject.
put his brother passed, and he put his brother's ashes in the hole
There
That's
you go.
awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
that is pretty cool.
because
That's
the
tight.
boat was like it was an older boat, and he didn't want to sell the boat because he bought it with his brother. So when they had to redo the boat, they put his ashes in the hole, and then they rebuilt the boat on top of it.
That's
So
exactly
he
what
said he's
Kyle's
never
pretty
going
cool.
to sell the boat. But
That's what Kyle did.
Yeah, that is.
Then you
pretty
can
cool.
haunt
Kinda
your
hard to
son
at
and
that
tell him to
point,
stop
yeah.
fishing for
Too
snook.
sentimental.
Stop fishing for snook,
Redfish.
nerd. Go catch a
Redfish.
redfish. You can haunt him.
Artificial.
Yeah, exactly. All right, who else has got some fishing stories? I know you guys are
I'm
full
thinking
of them.
about the time that we pulled up to the flat that we fished today, and I was like pushing Kyle real hard to fish the outer bar. And in typical Kyle fashion, it's like, I've never seen fish there. I've never seen a redfish there. And me and Kale were like, come on, man, let's try it out here. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, like these outer bars, they can be really, really fishy. And sure enough, within like 5 minutes, boom, these monsters' tails start popping up, and I stick a absolute stud of a redfish. And then I think you followed me up with an even bigger one, like 5
That
minutes
was
after
the
that.
so that was
Boom,
the
boom.
same
Same day as the
day
trout.
as the trout.
Okay, yeah.
That's why he was really sour, because we caught those redfish
Yeah,
out there.
and I think I was kind of a dick when it happened too. I was like, man, we probably should have came out here a little earlier, huh? Kyle's back there huffing and puffing.
But what's funny is
He's like, I'm telling you, the fish are always closer to the shoreline. They don't come out to this bar. I'm like, man, it looks so good. Please, can we just try? Like, I remember myself pleading with him, and finally we went out there, and it was like immediate. There's
That's good.
but I've gone out there another 10 times and I have never seen it happen. So
You weren't with me,
you just got lucky. You just got lucky.
right?
Kenny, what do you got, bud?
I've been trying to think with y'all what one of my better stories would be. It really only involves Kyle here, but
That's all right.
Is that a
doesn't
dig
be-
that
doesn't
I
be
missed
all
for
of
this?
It's a true friend.
what was the name of that tournament we fished that we won?
The Titan, the
Yeah,
drag.
we fished Titan the drag,
We got disqualified.
and
almost.
yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We'll just talk about the actual tournament. So
Politics.
yeah, it's politics.
Y'all want it. Y'all want it fair and square by a
Yeah,
long
we
shot.
did.
It
We
was
did. We did.
semantics of
Anyway, so spent the day pre-fishing the day before, found some fish, and day of the tournament, it just went like clockwork. And you could start fishing at midnight, right?
mm-hmm.
So we got out there at midnight. We're looking around for some big snook, and we find a dock light that has like, normally you don't see huge snook on dock lights, and this dock light had like 240 inches on it. And
39 3/4.
yeah, they
be
rounded it up.
exact.
Yeah. Anyway, so like right away, I catch this 39 inch snook on a pinfish on this dock light. So we're like, all right, awesome. We go run to the redfish spot. We catch tons and tons of like good reds. What was our biggest? Like a 34?
Well, what? So it was like 34 and a half. It was 34 and a half, but remember we went right after the snook because we caught that snook in like the first 2 hours. So it was like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And we went to where we knew there were some really, really big redfish. And we probably used 50 pinfish? And
Yeah.
we just caught shark after shark after shark after shark. I mean, it was just, we were marking
we
redfish.
could see the school of
We were
redfish
marking
on
the
side
redfish,
scan.
and they just,
Weren't eating.
and
No.
yeah, they just wouldn't eat.
I
So
think
we're
the
like,
tide was
screw
moving
this.
too fast. We couldn't
What-
get our baits to the bottom.
What time
or
was it? That
something.
was like at night, right?
Yes.
This was at like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And we had to run out there. It wasn't super rough getting out
Yeah,
there.
I
We got
mean-
soaked.
And like, we fished out there from probably 3 a.m. to probably 6, right when the sun was going to be coming up. And we didn't catch anything but sharks. We caught so many sharks. So we went and got a trout.
Yeah, we ran into some grass flats and tied some top waters on it. I think we had a 21-inch trout within like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we ran back out to where the redfish were. And by that time, the tide had slowed down. It was like a light switch. Like we caught one, 5 followed it up, throw in there, we're quadrupled up. It was just,
Quadruple,
we
yeah.
probably got like 15 redfish.
Insane.
And the biggest one was 30, like almost 35.
It was a monster.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just one of those tournaments where everything went right. We didn't lose any fish.
Did y'all
Yeah,
go
like-
in early? Like
Yeah.
at that
Yeah.
point, I've been like, yeah.
Yeah, we went
Yeah.
in. I think we could fish till like 3, and I think we were done at noon,
Yeah.
which was so nice.
Ideal.
Yeah. It was
But,
awesome.
Yeah, it worked out really well. It's probably one of the best tournaments I ever fished as far as just everything working the way it was supposed to.
Yeah.
Well, it took
that,
a little
like, never
persistence.
happens.
Like if I were you guys and all I caught was sharks at that spot, at the redfish spot, I don't know if I would have gone back.
Yeah.
Well, we
the
had
thing
gone
was
pre-fishing
is
the day
we
before.
caught them there the day before,
Mm.
and I knew what they looked like on side scan
So
because
you
I could
saw
see
'em.
them.
You knew.
And
You
we were
knew
there
it.
catching those sharks, and I could see them, but the tide was just moving way too fast,
Mm.
and there was no way we could like get our baits down there. And I wonder if they were just shut off at night anyway.
Yeah.
And we went back, and it was in the morning, and the sun was up, and they were just.
Boom,
we didn't
boom,
catch a
boom.
single shark.
No.
It was all reds.
It was all reds.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I mean, every single cast.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And then you guys got almost disqualified for not knowing a catchphrase.
We're not talking about that.
Yeah. Which is on me. So I
And
will
didn't
take
Kyle have
responsibility.
to go back to like the award ceremony and he was pissed because he had to talk? He's like,
That-
if you put me
no,
up on
No,
the stage,
Kyle didn't come.
that was the year
No,
that,
that was
we
a di-
all.
yeah.
we got what we get second
We got third.
and third, and Kyle was so mad at us because we all abandoned and went home to our wives because I thought I almost died, and I'm sure they'll tell that story in a minute. But I rushed home to my wife to hug her tightly, and we sent Kyle to the weigh-in, and he's texting us. He's like, if they make me get on stage and accept something and speak and I stutter, I'll never forgive you
I
guys.
stayed for at least an hour. At least an hour. I ate a full meal, and they just took forever for the award ceremony. So at a certain point, I was
Problem
like,
was is they did a meal, and then I think they did the raffle before the award ceremonies.
yo,
So you had to sit through the whole raffle to find out who won.
yeah. I mean, it's a fundraiser, so
Yeah.
it's kind of part of it.
It was
Yeah.
fun, but
I think I'd rather be like a live, or not a live auction, sorry, a silent auction for all that stuff. They'd probably raise as much money, and they'd save a lot of time.
Yeah. So one of my favorite memories wasn't, so we were all fishing, but we were on 2 separate boats. It was me and Kale. We were catching ladyfish to catch tarpon to troll them. So we got out there early. Ty and Kenny show up late as usual.
I forgot about this.
As usual, they're always about an hour late.
Yeah, y'all were out there for over an hour before we got there.
Yeah.
Why were we so late? What were you even fishing out of? Out of the mid-sea, maybe?
Out of your boat.
No.
Out of your
the
Hughes.
Yes.
I brought the Hughes.
Yeah.
That was the first time you used it.
First fish on the freaking Hughes tail fisher. How about that, baby? You love to see
I
it.
bought in October.
One of the first times, yeah.
And it was probably in that around October.
It was in
November.
October, yeah.
Yeah. It was out of the Hughes. And then Kale and I are trolling ladyfish. I mean, perfect sized ladyfish. And Ty and Kenny just roll up, start casting.
Swim baits, too.
Swim baits.
Yeah.
I mean, just casting hoagies. I think.
I saw one
Kenny
roll.
saw a roll.
Yeah. Kenny saw a roll. He
Saw one
hooked up.
roll so far away. I just bombed it
It
out
was
there.
sick.
Big Fish Kenny G hooked up. First cast out of rolling tarpon. First cast, baby. All right.
I mean, it rolled, and then immediately he whips this thing as far as you could possibly whip
It's
it.
8-inch swim bait on a 1.5 ounce.
And
it was like
these are big
immediate.
tarpon. These are 80,
yeah.
100-pound tarpon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and immediately
I made
they smoked.
3 cranks. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I couldn't
Kyle
believe
was
it.
cursing y'all's
I
name.
couldn't
He's like,
believe
this is bullshit.
It is awesome looking back at it. Especially what happened next. Ty was just trolling with his lure behind
and
his boat.
It was in the prop
in the
wash.
push pull. It was,
Yes.
it was in the rod holder.
On
I
the
mean,
bone
maybe
button.
what?
But the bait was
5
in the
or 6
prop
feet?
Yes.
wash. And
Yes,
this
it
is
was
what-
5. I mean, it was
The
5 or 6
the
feet.
bait wasn't even behind the boat further back. It was just dangled down straight from the rod tip, right behind the prop, because the motor was trimmed down. And then all of a sudden, this huge explosion right on it. And the bait's halfway in the water, halfway out of the water.
Okay, was that with the ladyfish or that was
No, that was the hoagie.
That was the hoagie. That was
Yes,
on there?
it ate
And
the
then
artificial.
you guys are screaming, it ate it in the prop wash. And Kyle's cursing y'all's name. He's like, I hate them, dude. This just makes no sense.
So that
And I think mine, I don't think I got my hands on it. I think it came off right at the end. I think we got the hands on yours.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Did we?
Or was it vice versa?
I think you caught yours because I have some photos of
I
yours.
thought we
just-
lost mine.
Okay.
I can't post
Yeah.
the photos because the picture is blatant of where it is, but it's a
Super
sick photo
cool.
of you
Yeah.
gripping
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Gripping
you're
that
right.
tarp.
But then I think later that day, it might have been a different day, but it was the same area. I was trying to catch ladyfish, and I was using this gulp on a 4,000 size reel.
Yeah.
I mean, they were trolling ladyfish. I was just trying to catch more bait, being a team player as usual. As usual. And I'm just jigging next to the boat. We mark a tarpon, and all of a sudden, just I'm on this little
That was
4,000.
That was
with
my
a little
lucky
gulp.
4,000, dude.
Yes.
That
That
thing
was.
caught so much. It still does.
Yeah.
Still running it?
Yes, of course. I will not get rid of
That
it.
I mean, that thing's probably 7 years old. 7 or 8
We
years old.
fought that tarpon for a while.
And
Well, he was
kept
trying to get rid of it. He's like,
kept
dude,
wanting-
no. And then you beat it almost.
I'll pull up
Yeah,
the,
we
the
did.
video from that. It was right there at the bow of the boat. It just
Yeah.
you couldn't really do a whole
Did
lot.
you
Well,
have
yeah, I
20-pound leader on there or something?
I think
I think it
a
was
little more
30
than that.
because we were trying to catch ladyfish.
Yeah.
And I think we kept breaking off on the ladyfish.
But it was
after.
probably so frayed from the ladyfish
Well,
already.
I was trying to break it off because I knew there was no way for me to land this fish, and I didn't want to kill it. I mean, we could have fought it for an hour, hour and a half.
Yeah.
And
You did 5 or 10 minutes of it just being right at the bow, but
Yeah.
you couldn't put any pressure on the
yeah,
fish.
I think it was like a 25,
guarantee
30-minute
he was
fight. And I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't good for the fish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to land it. Let's just pop it off. But finally, it did it for us. But then, so those were 2 awesome memories.
I forgot
About
I forgot
tarpon,
those.
by the way.
That's
Those aren't even about
shocker.
redfish.
Shocker.
But one of my favorite memories, I think it was one of my first couple months working here. Ty and I went out for an hour, maybe.
COVID, baby.
COVID, yeah. It
COVID
was in
days.
April. It was a month into COVID. I was like, Ty, we have this really nice negative tide, right? At
We were
6:30.
coughing all over each other. Like, whatever.
Yeah, we'll live
Masks
forever.
on. We had masks on. Buffs.
But
But
we're just
then,
looking at each other. This is so stupid. Let's go fish.
Yeah, exactly.
but we left the ramp. We idled for maybe a minute, and we just started fishing this edge.
Yep.
And
I I'd never gone so short of a distance to find fish. Like, it was like we literally never got on plane. We just idled.
No. And I think we
like
caught
launched
5.
and idled.
I think we caught 5 or 6 fish, all right near 30 inches.
No, we got like a stud big one.
I guess this lure works. The new layering crawdad.
Yes, sure, that crawdaddy.
Yeah, I think
Two
mine was like
studs.
33, 34 right there.
I had another one that was at
Yeah,
least up there too.
yeah.
Yours might have been 34 because that thing was a monster.
Yeah.
We'll post the picture and some of the video.
Yeah, and that was awesome. And then, we got off the water around 7:30. We were on from maybe 6:30 to 7:30. We got off and we went and worked, and we caught 6 fish in an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to beat that.
That's
Yeah,
ideal.
That was a legendary day.
None of my good fishing trips ever happen with like Kale, so I'm not even going to mention him.
Mm-hmm.
I just catch fish, man. I caught one yesterday. I'm back.
Did you figure out a fishing story that you can remember that you? before she
Yeah, I could think of one. Let's see. I
You
think.
can tell them about the tournament we fished. That was pretty
Yeah,
good.
so
you got
we-
the biggest snook or the biggest.
Yeah, well,
biggest
all right.
snook,
So as
biggest
I
fish.
recall, it was one of the same tournament that Joe won. Starts at midnight. I'm old man. I like to go to bed at 9:30, so I was already thrown off my game. Get out there at midnight. Drop my jewel in the water like first thing, so I don't have any nicotine. It's you guys don't know. Sadly, I have a bad addiction to nicotine. So that was bummer. Whatever. We caught a snook at the first spot. We were on the board. We did pretty good. I don't even know. It's kind of a blur because I was up all night for the first time since I was 18. And we did good. I thought we were going to place, and we were trying to upgrade a trout, right? So we ran back in some backcountry.
No, so
What brought us back there?
No, so we were trying to get those redfish that were in that cove, just those monster
Gotcha.
redfish.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we're like, we have I think we had like a 25-inch redfish.
Something.
And we're like, we need a bigger trout.
It's
I
all
think
a
our
blur
trout was
because-
only like 18 inches, so we wanted a bigger trout.
That's right. And then you upgraded the trout.
Yes,
And
as we see the storm coming
And then
in.
you see this shelf cloud behind us. It's like, looks like Armageddon. Like anybody not from Florida would immediately be like, okay, we're out of here. But us being from here, we're used to thunderstorms in the afternoon, in the summer, no big deal. So we see this thing come in. I'm like, Kyle, should we run back to the dock? And he's like, no, that means we got to run through it. And I was like, well, that ain't going to work.
That wasn't going to be good.
That's not going to work.
Lightning
So-
everywhere,
So there's a little bridge that we could hide under.
like the smallest little bridge.
Yeah, a little bridge.
which is good.
Yep. And we go under this bridge, and I think there was a guy in a Boston whaler next to us, and he's like hugging the pylon to try to keep his Boston whaler under this bridge. And then within like 2 minutes, the wind's blowing 65, 70 miles an hour. The waves are 3-4 foot.
Anchor
We're
breaks
anchored.
free.
We're anchored on so the bow is anchored, and the anchor's just pulling the nose down to where waves are just crashing over the front of the boat. And I'm talking lightning palooza, dude. It was not normal lightning. It was like bang, 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 bang. And the flashes and the bangs are at the same time. So, you're in it. And so I kind of look around, and at this point, I'm pale as a ghost. Kyle is in gear to keep us under the bridge, right? Because the anchor wouldn't hold. And he's like got it
And
at
we're just waiting for the
1,500
anchor to
RPMs just to keep us in the same spot. And it gets worse. And I mean, like, it was no regular storm. I'm not milking this. That was the craziest
That was a bad
weather.
storm.
Craziest weather I've ever been in. I've been in some hurricanes. That was wild. And so I turn around, I look at these two. Kyle looks scared. He'll never admit it.
I was focused.
Our fearless leader looked a little fearful, and I was scared shitless. I'm not gonna lie, I was very
He was
scared.
white as a ghost.
Yeah,
He was
I was
ghost.
pale.
He
I was
he
pale. So
terrible.
once I saw
Soaking
my
wet.
comrades, looking like a little scared, and I was like, nope. I said, guys, I'd rather get struck by lightning than sink this boat, because at this point, I think that's where we're at.
What? We are like, land is 20 feet from us.
what
We
I'm
are
saying.
under
But
this.
did
deep.
we still didn't
But
want to sink
lightning
the boat.
is so much scarier.
Did you talk about the current that was going 25 miles an hour? If the engine stopped or anything, we were toast.
Yeah,
Y'all
were
would've been in
drifted
the
to
Gulf.
back
We were-
wall.
no, we would've been
we were
toast
just we
in the
would have been
backcountry.
drifted to the back
So
wall.
I look around and I said, boys, I don't care if we get struck by lightning. I don't want to sink and swim in this current. So I threw the anchor, which I'm still owe Kyle an
He
anchor.
still owes me an anchor.
I untied the anchor and threw it and said, enough of that. We floored it.
Well, we tried to pull in the anchor first, right?
Yeah.
But it was just something. I don't know.
I think
what
it got
exactly.
caught on something finally, but it was like caught on something like
Right,
a rock.
we couldn't
or,
get it up, and
Yeah.
then at a certain point,
Yeah.
I was like, it was just there's so much wind, and like we were
Water
turning,
in
and I
the
think it was just
boat.
like screw it, dump it,
There was so much water in the boat.
just dump the
And
rope.
so I was like, dump it. we ramped it up on a
beach.
random bank somewhere, and we ran up into this public bathroom, and we looked like drowned rats at this point.
So we ended up getting up on plane like immediately, and we literally went on plane all the way up to the beach. For some reason, Kyle decided it was a good idea to let me drive us. I'm like, well, he just felt confident in me in the moment.
Well,
so I was like,
no,
all right.
I think that I had gone up to try to get
You were
the
trying
anchor,
to get the anchor, yep.
and then I want to
And
make
so I
sure
was
that we
already on the
hit
wheel.
anything.
And then it
so
broke
you were-
free, and we were flying.
And I had a
out.
plan in my head, and you were like, how do you feel about this? I'm like, I got an idea. And so I just took it and we ramped it up on the beach. And then we went.
And ramping
from-
is like understatement.
I
We
was like,
floored it up
oh, yeah.
onto the beach. Like,
Yeah, we beached it pretty good. And then we went from little like pavilion to pavilion, one by one, as the lightning's like cracking down.
Yep.
And finally we made it into
the
that
bathroom. And
It
we-
took like 5 pavilions before we got there. It was
And no
sketchy.
water, no foul weather gear could have prepared you for this. We're all in extra tufts and full, bibs, and still just soaked.
And then
right?
Kale was so scared, almost crying.
Dude,
He
I was
drove
shook.
home. Ty and I went back
No,
out.
I had to call Will.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I go
remember
in the
Will came to get
bathroom
him.
and I said, I call Will Osborne, like the guy I was talking about earlier, and I said, Willie, we almost died. He goes, you guys were out there in that? I said, yeah, bro, we're under this bridge. He's like, dude, did you sink the boat? And I was like, no, but I'm scared and I need you to come pick me
Little
up.
did he know, I really almost sinked. I really almost sunk the boat with Will about 3 years after that.
So Uncle Willie comes and picks me up, and he's laughing because I'm soaked and looks scared. And he's like, you all right, man? I'm like, nah, dude, I'm pretty shook, dude. And he's like, where are the boys? I was like, those crazy bastards went back out fishing. I said, I had enough, dude. I'm going home.
You said when he picked you up, he's like, man, you look like a drowned
That's what
squirrel.
he said. Yeah, he thought it was so funny. And I was like, dude, just get me to my car. Then I drove 10 and 2 across the Skyway with no music on the whole way home.
And then he immediately bought life insurance.
Yeah, I
He got
shopped
home.
life insurance immediately. I was like, well, that's all I could think about was my wife. I was like, I'm gonna die back here, and then what? Brittany's didn't have no idea where I'm at.
Me and Kyle were like, let's send it.
You guys are like,
we'll
let's
try and
go
catch another
upgrade
bigger
the
fish.
trout. I was like, you guys are nuts.
No,
I'm
we
going
wanted a bigger
home.
snook. We were
That's
going for the big
right.
snook.
I mean, because once the storm passed, everything's fine.
Yeah.
The fish should.
We ran out when it was still a little bit sketchy. Kale was,
I was
like,
gonna
don't
say,
do it.
I was like, are you guys for real? And you're like, yeah, we're good,
it mostly
dude.
passed.
The
Yeah.
lightning wasn't crashing anymore.
No. It was just raining and a little windy at that point.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was.
I'm trying to think
Scary.
of my favorite fishing memory with Kale.
Now it's like if I see like a shelf cloud coming, I don't play no games. I'm like, boys, I'm good. There's nothing in me that wants to stay for this.
Anytime around summer, you got to be careful for
Yeah,
sure.
like I'm fine with rain, but lightning, I'm out.
Actually, here's one. Here's one with me and Kale. We were in this creek system, and I was trying to push into a deeper pond, and we got stuck on this oyster bar. And I told Kale just to give one big cast in there, and he hooks a monster redfish.
Probably a
monster.
marlin or something.
It was probably like a 32-inch red. I mean, we saw it and Kale fought it for a good 3 minutes, and then he did his typical Kale, and he lost it.
Don't even.
It sounds about
But
right.
Don't
that's
even-
probably my favorite fishing memory with Kale.
But it was like a creek opening, so it's probably 5 feet wide,
Yeah.
and there's water running over this oyster bed. So we're not getting the boat over.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
you're
cast
stuck.
from the far side of the oyster bed, and I got freight train,
Yeah,
dude. I was
smoked.
not
Is this
ready.
at Pekka?
It was up north
was-
somewhere.
it was like
I don't
one of the
remember
boys.
exactly where it
Okay.
is.
I think Kenny was there
Um,
for that one. I think you were there with us.
I don't remember. I'm not sure.
All right, so I got another one. It was like either May or June. I think it was still May. And you guys decided you wanted to go fly fishing for tarpon because there had been a bunch of juvie tarpon around. And I hadn't thrown the fly since I started FFP. It'd been like 4 or 5 years. I just had not picked up a fly rod. As soon as we got into spinning reels, that's all I used for the most part. Marketing. I was always focused on photos and video and marketing, and I don't know, didn't get enough times to actually pick up the fly rod. So I have not thrown the fly in years at this
It
point.
was probably 5 years.
And they put me on the bow, and they're like, yeah, you're up first. And I'm like, all right, let's see if we can make this work.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like my second cast, maybe first cast. I ended up hooking that 30 or 40 pound tarpon. It was just an absolute stud. There are fish everywhere. They're rolling. They're tipping with their tails all over the place.
Did you land it?
Yeah, we landed that one. And then we turned around, and I think Kenny got one right after that.
me.
Or Kyle got one right after
Yeah,
that.
I think we started pulling. Ty stepped down. Fish spooked. I casted, hooked up. Like my very like my
Dude, those are like,
which those tarpon never do that.
Those are the best size tarpon too. They're like perfect size. They're not like the Mondos, but they're not little ones. They're like 25 to 30 pounds and just jump and fight like hell and just a ton of fun.
Here's another good one. What about the biggest redfish I've seen caught in Tampa Bay?
That was pretty sick.
It was me, Kenny, and Ty. We were fishing this area that, I mean, everybody fishes this spot. It's not any kind of secret spot. And I helped Kenny try to land a redfish. I broke it off. That one was on me.
Shocker.
And then Ty gets up.
Yeah, dude.
And then Ty gets up maybe 5 minutes, and I see Ty. There's a monster right there. And I mean, it was 5 feet from us. It was I can't remember. Was it tailing or was it just?
No, it was sitting in the bottom like a hole.
I think it just laying there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was like
a
41-inch
shrimp. Just fluttered in front of it. Sucked it up.
That was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
How big was it? Is that the one that's in the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was every bit of 40. I think we were actually talking about this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was bigger than his 38-inch ruler.
Yes. So, by at least 2 inches. It was close. I mean,
it was in that 40 to 41.
And then on artificial, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and this was all over Tampa Bay.
It's like right here.
Did the thing wake off the second it ate? Just
well, he was kind of beat up. I mean, it fought pretty hard.
It looked like it got done breeding. Like it had those like scars on it.
We were getting blown around pretty good too. I feel like that made it a harder fight than the actual fish because we were getting blown like 15 mile an hour like, from the wind. And so that was pushing against us. Fish was going the other direction. I got some video of that too.
And that's probably the biggest redfish that not that I have seen caught in like, Upper Tampa Bay, but that's one of the biggest redfish that I've heard caught in Upper Tampa Bay. They just don't get that. I mean, they just don't get that big there.
Right.
Those are more breeding fish.
That was like a skinny, super long fish.
Big head.
Yeah.
Big head.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty white too, if I remember correctly. Yeah. It wasn't really, copper colored.
It looked a little bit like sickly almost.
Yeah.
Probably because it was recovering from getting beat up.
Yeah.
I think those breeder fish, they always get beat up like that.
Mm-hmm. It was probably lost too.
It reminds me of Mosquito Lagoon though. We need to go back to Mosquito Lagoon. We haven't got on those big fish together. We got on those big black drum.
Yeah, that was the only time I have ever been.
Yeah. But that same area, there's big monster redfish. March. First week of March can be really good. So
what do you
that's
know?
coming up soon.
What do you know?
Month away.
A couple weeks. Hot dog.
Might have to make a trip, boys.
I like it. I'm trying to think of any. Kenny, what do you got? I know you got some stories with us, dude. You're always quiet. Listen to us babble. I'm sure you got something funny.
What about today? Want to give the run through of today's?
Rundown of today's.
Yeah.
Mission.
How many fish did you lose?
Too many.
I got him. He's been making fun of me for losing fish. I'm not that mean.
I mean,
none of them were his fault.
I wouldn't say I lost them. I didn't have them hooked and they came off.
Mm-hmm.
They just ate and I set the hook and like there was tension and then they came
off. You didn't like fight them?
No.
It was on
it wasn't like what you do all the time.
Oh, don't even.
Got him.
Yeah. 1 minute into the fight, loses the fish both side.
It's really hard to do with a redfish. Like, it's not like they're going to fray you off.
It's easy on a bait caster.
There's 2 guys I can almost guarantee it's going to happen to. 3, actually.
Oh, gosh.
1 is Kale.
Yep.
2 is Tim Summer.
Oh, don't put me on the same list, dude. No way.
Tim, and then the 3rd is my buddy David, which he just did this on Tuesday, man. He's like cursed. My buddy
I'm
David
with you,
Bruce.
bud. They're making fun of us big time. But
I don't know why it happens to these guys. I think because they all just stick them right up in the air, close to the boat. I don't know.
I lost one yesterday because Kenny hooks this redfish on a bait caster, and he's like, he gets it, I don't know, 15 feet from the boat, and he's like, want to feel what it feels like to have a redfish on a bait caster? And I'm like, nah, dude.
Kale's on a charter with us.
And I told him, I said,
Sounds
bro,
like
I said, dude, I don't want to reel in your fish. That's lame. He goes, no, it's not that. I just want you to feel what it feels like. It's cool on a bait caster. So he hands me a bait caster, and the bait caster I use left hand. This one's right hand. Kenny's a bass guy.
Excuses out there.
I mean, yeah. Well, I felt like it. I'm not going to say what I felt like, but I didn't feel quite comfortable with the reel on the right side.
A lot of peer pressure.
Yeah,
here.
you know what I mean? So he hands it to me. I'm like, give me that thing. So I'm like yanking on him, and I'm like, let's hear that drag. And I kind of pull him. Next thing I know, the lure flies out, and I'm just like, oh, I'm going to hear about this. And I turn around, and Kenny's like, kind of just giving me this really mean, sad face. And I was like, dude, you should have never handed me that. I told you not to do that. I literally told you not to.
It's kind of a messed up thing to do. That's what you do to like a 5-year-old kid who's never caught a fish. You hand him.
But it was on the right side of a bait caster, and it did feel cool. So I got what you were trying to show me, the drag and the feel of a bait caster. But it didn't feel cool when the lure flew out.
That's how little confidence Kenny has in your bait casting.
Well, I figured
abilities.
it was going to be so long until you actually did it yourself.
Oh.
And the fact that like you
Challenge
never
accepted.
come fishing with us.
Challenge accepted.
Because like you were on the boat.
Dude,
which
I
is
am
rare.
I am baitcaster Bob, dude. You should see me flinging this thing. Not yours with your
I
little.
have seen you.
Not you said I was decent at your wedding.
I've never known.
Tell the truth.
Baitcaster Bob.
Tell the
Actually
truth.
More
good
like
fishing.
bird nest Bob.
But you're throwing
a bird nest Bob.
Bird nest Bob over
You're throwing
here.
in a pond and you're just throwing. You just throw it and it's not like it matters where it
Kyle
lands.
can't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, let's just see.
I don't say that I can.
What's terrible is I said I thought I was the second best bait caster at the company, and then Kenny told me that our intern Peyton's better than me, and that was tough.
A lot
It
better.
was tough to hear. I was thinking I was in second place. I know you said you got the hang, so you might be coming for second, but apparently Peyton's better than both of us.
He's a bass fisherman.
He's got one eye, dude. You know,
Why you gotta drop that on him? What
I
does that
love
do with being
Peyton.
able
The
to fish?
guy's the man. He can catch.
You don't fish with your eyes, you fish with your hands.
He couldn't use the left side though, only the right, because you can see that.
You don't look at it. You don't look at the reel when you reel. Are you sitting? That's why you're losing fish. You're
All right,
sitting there
Peyton, I
looking
owe
at
you
the reel.
lunch. I shouldn't have thrown you under the bus, man. I got you.
You did you dirty, Peyton.
Sorry, bro.
Dirty.
But yeah, I'm just trying to like dig out of a hole of losing a fish that somebody else hooked. So
Yeah.
it's not a good look.
But back to
Yeah,
today.
back to today. Yeah, it was a nice day.
Beautiful weather.
It's been really cold past week, 2 weeks, and today I think the high was like 75 or like it got warm out there when we finally headed in, but no wind, had all the sun you could ever want. There wasn't any clouds, and I think that's what honestly made it really tough was because you just like fish could see you, they could feel you.
You breathe and they start speaking.
Literally, like
You
like
cannot move.
there's a fish 60 feet away, and when you cast, when you shift your weight on the boat, they spook before
Yes.
like the bait even leaves the rod.
Did you guys catch some?
Yeah, we caught 3.
That's sick.
I had
We were on
2.
the upward swing, I would say. We started off with like a rat red that Kyle caught, and then Kenny sight casted a pretty decent fish.
Yeah.
And then I sight casted one that was a little bit bigger
It
than
was a
that.
stud.
And then like the fish started feeding, and at that point we had to roll out to get here. So we left him biting for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, on that, we probably saw 150, 200 redfish.
Yeah.
Two like that. I mean, we
No,
saw
fish
four
four hours. 4
Yeah.
hours max.
Yeah, so we're averaging about 1 redfish every hour, which is pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but yeah, it was pretty tough. I mean, the fish were there. We just really couldn't get them to eat. I mean, we were blind casting this morning as the tide was falling, and we would cast, pull right where we just cast, and fish would spook out.
Yeah.
So we know that we were bringing that lure.
Kind of like what
in.
happened yesterday, dude. We spooked a pile of fish.
Yeah, but that day. So we went out from 12 to about 3:30, right? 12 to about 3:30 on Tuesday, and we caught 3 fish, and Kale had to be in at 2, so we went and dropped Kale off, and then in the last about 30 minutes, Kenny and I caught about 4 more. So I think if Kale wasn't on the boat with us, we probably would have gotten
You wouldn't have caught
12?
it. You wouldn't have caught any.
I think we probably would have got 12.
I'm your good luck.
But
charm,
that was a
dude.
really, really awesome afternoon. And I think that's kind of the key this time of year with it being so cold is to fish the midday afternoon bite. You know,
I thought you were
once
gonna say the key was to not bring Kale on the boat.
No, dude,
But
they
that
blew it.
didn't prove
That's-
true
that
today.
is-
we
that's
did.
part of it.
We caught fish when I was on the boat, but I had to go pick up my son. Kyle will know what that's like soon.
T minus 64 days.
All right.
But
Hey, how about Kenny? He just got married.
I know.
2 weekends ago?
congrats,
Moved
Kenny.
into his first house.
And then on his honeymoon, he went fishing for sailfish. And can you please tell us what that was like, Kenny?
Yep. So I brought my boat down there, it's a little 18-foot Maverick, and I remember what day it was. I think it was Tuesday, and it was supposed to be the best weather of the week, which it was, and it was like blowing 10 or so out of the east, and we got out there and it was really blowing like 15, and we go to the edge of the reef, and I'm only running like 15 miles an hour because the waves are so big. It's like I can't go any faster than that. So I'm just like plowing through. all these big swells and stuff. And we get out there, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I want to catch a sailfish. We got bait. I'm on the edge of the reef in the Keys. It's winter time. I'm thinking, I was like, maybe we can just like get lucky or something. And I didn't know what I was doing. I tried trolling like a ballyhoo, and I looked at it back there, and it was like spinning in circles. So I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. So let's stop doing that. And then I tried slow trolling some of these big pilchards I had, and it was just too rough. So we ended up going in to a little shallower to the reef, and we caught some snappers and some groupers and had fun doing that. We were probably up there for like 3 hours, spot locked. Go to start the motor, thing's dead. Won't start. You gotta be kidding me.
It's just you and your wife.
Yeah, he's with his wife on their honeymoon.
Yeah, but it's just us.
On a skiff offshore.
And,
2 to 3 foot.
That's pretty bad.
It's pretty rough.
But this also gets worse.
Yeah. So battery's dead. So I'm like, because I got a 2-stroke. So sometimes you turn the key and it doesn't start. And like you just turn the key like 3 or 4 more times and it'll start. So I was kind of hoping that's what it was, but that wasn't it. And it was so dead. It was like my starting battery. I couldn't even like trim the motor up and down. It was that dead. So I didn't know what to do. I pulled one of the trolling motor batteries out, hooked it up to use as my starting battery, but I'd been spot locked for 3 hours and it didn't have enough juice to start it either. And I didn't have a jumper, which that wouldn't have worked anyway because we called Sea-Tow. And they came out and he had a jumper and we hooked the jumper up and it wouldn't even jump. It was so dead. So we had to get towed in. It probably took 3 hours to get back in. We get back, it's dark. We get the boat tied up. Next day, my goal is to try to find what's wrong with the engine, and I'm looking around. I'm like, it's just the battery because the battery's dead. So I run up to West Marine, got to buy a new battery, come back, put the battery in, still doesn't start. But at least like I can trim the motor up and down, so I know battery is part of the issue. And then anyway, digging around some more, I found out what it was, which was it's called the ignition coil, and it basically like blew up, which had happened before. So I knew what to look for. So I tracked down somewhere that had it, went and got it, came back, put it in, still didn't start. So I'm like, I don't know what the heck it is now. And ended up being, because the boat's in the water, so I didn't really have a lot of room to work on it. Ended up being, I found a fuse box, and in the fuse box was a fuse that was blown. And that's really, it was the ignition coil because it wouldn't have started either way, but it wouldn't start the last time because of the fuse. So we got the fuse and it started, but the rest of the week it blew like 30 miles an hour and pissed rain, and it was 55 degrees in the Keys, so it sucked. And I think we caught some snapper and stuff, but other than that,
so you got some quality time with the wifey.
Yes.
You get some snuggles in at least?
Yes, we did.
There you go.
That a boy.
Nice.
I noticed it was like the saddest progression of Instagram
This
story.
is hilarious.
It's like the first one's like him and his wife on a Maverick. We're going
Beautiful
to go try
day
to
out,
catch
it
a
looked like.
sailfish. I'm like, man, Kenny's living the dream, bro. I'm so proud of him. He's look at him growing up. Then the next one was him getting towed back by Sea-Tow. I was like, dang, I didn't go how I was hoping for you.
Life
bud.
hit him real fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I said negative on the sailfish.
Yeah, they get the sailfish.
The Sea-Tow's just pulling us back
That was
in.
really funny.
That was no good.
Sad.
I felt
Very funny.
so bad.
Yeah.
So what was
I
it
called
like-
him.
So when you, because all of us and Ty didn't, Ty, you know, you moved in with Sarah after you got married. Me and Kyle had both lived with our girlfriends before, but so when you came, you went to the wedding, you stayed at a nice resort for the night after the wedding, and then you went straight to the Keys for a week.
Yep.
And then you drove home to your brand new house with your wife. That had to have been one of the coolest deals.
It was. It's
like-
really nice. And
Old Don can't tell you to keep the door open anymore. You know what I mean? That's tight.
But now Kenny said he's been building stuff too. Like she bought a bunch of stuff on like
Oh, yeah.
Amazon,
Putting in the work.
Oh, it's just the
IKEA.
beginning.
So he just
Amazon,
building stuff.
IKEA.
Once you're there a year, the Amazon driver will know your wife by first name.
Oh yeah.
That's how he's like. If Brittany's out of town, the Amazon driver will be like, "Is she sick or something? Is she okay?" I'm like, "Nah, dude, she's alive. We're good."
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you haven't gotten anything in 3 days.
Yeah,
Is everything
wrong.
okay?
Something's wrong.
It's like me
kill
at
her?
the like
Jeff
Stormy,
Bezos loves my wife, dude. He gives her a lot of money.
Oh gosh.
Golly.
So did you get pissed, or were you pretty calm, cool, and collected when the whole
honest answer here.
Yeah, honest.
Honest.
For the pod.
I was honestly like, because we were like on the edge of the reef when the motor wouldn't start, and like I didn't even have an anchor So like I couldn't even anchor. So like we're just
away.
drifting.
You're a little
And
concerned.
Luckily,
Was the wind pushing you towards
luckily
shore?
the wind was pushing us towards
Thank
shore.
God.
Mm.
Imagine
And
just
there-
going out to the freaking
And there was
Atlantic.
boats around us, and I got flares, but I'm like, I don't really want to shoot a flare, right? We got sea tow. I can
Been
call
kind of
sea tow.
tight if you shot a flare off though, dude.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to use one.
Yeah, but I was kind of scared just because we were out there a little ways on that boat, but ended up being okay.
Buffed
good,
out.
so.
Lexi passed. Sounds
Yeah.
like she had a good attitude.
No, she did fine. I was nervous. I got like sick and stuff. I wasn't
Ugh,
feeling good. And
yeah.
sea tow got there, and I was like, all right, we're fine.
Yeah. That's no good.
Yeah.
Reminds me of my honeymoon. Sarah and I, we borrowed kayaks from my buddy. They're like pedal kayaks. And we were launching in, I think it was Hilton Head. It was like our last day in Hilton Head. Beautiful day. We're going to go out. We had some like mimosas from the Airbnb that we had rented. They had a bottle of champagne, some orange juice. Like, this is
Sick.
going to be great. I was going to go sight fish some creeks for some redfish. I had a perfect
Kill
time.
2 birds with 1 stone, baby.
I get to the boat ramp. We're like carrying the kayak in. I had like the pedals like in the kayak, but I just wasn't thinking straight clearly, and had something else on my mind. I guess.
No,
And
that's right.
we go to put the kayak in, and it just kind of slightly turns, and the pedal falls in the water and just sinks like 8 feet. And you know how water up there. It was winter, so it was like fairly clear, but you couldn't see nothing. You couldn't see anything down there. Just oysters everywhere. I'm like,
Not the most
sketchy.
inviting body of water.
No. So then just about every single person in the neighborhood came by to come help us out, which was like kind of adding insult to injury, like they're like, you need something? Like, what happened? So I had to tell the story over and over again. And they're like, well, do you want my rake? I can bring my rake over. So they drive the golf cart down, get the rake, they bring it back. No luck. Next person's like, oh, I can bring this. I'll throw this in, see if this works. Finally, this guy gives me an anchor. I'm like, okay, I got to get it with the anchor. Right? I'm throwing the anchor over and over and over again. The tide's getting higher, so my chances are getting less and less. And at this point, I'm like, all right.
Sarah just pounding champagne on the bank.
She's just laughing at me. I'm getting pissed at this point. And so I'm like looking up. I'm like, how much do these pedals cost? I'm just going to buy him some new pedals. I don't even need the pedals.
Expensive.
Oh my gosh, like $800 or something
Oh
crazy.
my
And I'm like,
So you
okay.
take your shirt off. You're like, I'm ready. I'm going in.
No, then I'm like, all right, how much is it to salvage this thing? $150 to get someone out there to dive and go check it out. Like if I could have seen it, definitely would have gone in.
Yeah.
But it was kind of sketchy and super cold. I'm like, I'm not bothering with that. So
Yeah.
I called the salvage guys. They took like an hour and a half. They finally get out there. This guy puts on the wetsuit, the whole gear. It took him like 20 minutes to get prepared. He goes in there. 20 seconds later, he's got the pedals and he's out. But what he said is the pedals, like they kind of went down like this and they slid underneath the boat ramp. So like that, you got that like concrete block and there was like a big crevice underneath the concrete. So it went underneath it. So we wouldn't have been able to get it if I had
So you
swum
could have
in.
sat there with anchor all day.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if I would have swam in there, he's like, there's probably no chance you would have got it. So it's a good thing that I called.
That's
But
And
that was our first challenge in our marriage.
and
As you can imagine, I'm a little more hot-headed than Kenny, and so I was not happy.
I was just about to say, and I can
picture
imagine
Ty-
Ty getting so
I
mad.
just picture him pissed off, kicking on it, trying to get something he dropped out of the water. And Sarah's just sitting
chucking
there
it.
with a bottle of champagne, shaking her head.
Just chucking it
Just
in
like
the
the-
water.
and then all these nice South Carolinians, man,
That's
coming
tight.
up, can we help you out?
That's
Here's
awesome.
my rake.
That's tight. You know?
And then this kind of reminds me of the time that we went golfing for I think we had our best month ever. This was right towards the end of COVID.
was it
me-
during COVID or was it before COVID?
No, it was
It
after.
was during. It was definitely like. It was during.
It was
COVID,
towards
but
the
it was
end.
The back
It
end,
was when
yeah.
Kale finally joined us again
Yeah,
after
yeah.
COVID. Kale had an awesome month, and Ty was going to take us all golfing.
That was tight.
Kale's
First hole.
Kale's a pretty good golfer,
Not
but
good. I can hold my
No.
own.
No.
but Kale's a pretty
Compared
good
to
golfer,
us,
but he has
he's
his
an okay
own.
golfer.
Yeah,
Well,
but
now I'm good, but then not so
Haven't
much.
seen it. Haven't seen
Prove
it. yet.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, but Kale's game, he knows how to play his game.
That's
Yes,
true.
yes.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was going with that. Like he's a pretty good golfer, but
Yeah.
he knows how to play his game.
It's the nicest
You
thing
and
you've ever
me
said to me,
were-
bro.
We're back.
I just go out just to get mad and hit things, So
I just go out to
first
not
hole.
go fishing.
Yes.
To do something other than fishing.
Something besides fishing.
first hole, Ty hits a pretty good drive.
I'm in the fairway.
Yeah, it was
He's
a
in the
pretty good
short
drive.
stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it was a pretty good drive. Second shot, first hole. Ty's aiming.
Please tell it. Please tell it.
Ty's aiming where he thinks he should aim, which for Ty's shot probably would have been fine. I mean,
know
he
my
had a
swing.
good
Could have
first
been.
shot.
You know
Could
your
have been. Yeah.
Or it could have been really bad. Kale goes, like Ty's just about to swing. Like he's literally about to go back. Kale goes, Ty, you're aimed a little bit left.
No, you're aimed in the woods.
Yeah, something
And it
like that.
wasn't good.
Yeah.
Wasn't what I should have said.
No. Ty looks at him mad already. Like that's not the thing to say. Ty was battling with his golf game at this point.
That
like,
in,
Ty was,
in the IRS.
yes, Ty was trying to get in the golf
Two things that will
more.
piss you off worse than anything is the IRS and golf. Just
Yeah.
to give you an example.
Yeah.
It's like all the money we just made, we're paying.
Gone.
So Ty looked at
He
us.
regretted taking us golfing because he found out we owed it all to the IRS, but we were already there. So
No, it was good.
No, so Ty looked at Kale with just death in his eyes. He was so mad. So mad. He sets back up where Kale tells him to aim. Because Kale still hasn't gotten
no, to my credit, he was aiming right where he was aimed before. I just didn't say anything the second time because I didn't want to make him mad.
Yeah,
My
and
shots, how I aim.
and he completely
off.
duffed it.
then
I
you
mean,
chucked it.
it went 10 feet
That's
maybe.
what sent him over the edge.
The freaking 7-iron.
It was definitely the swing. For
Yeah.
sure.
The freaking 7-iron goes flying.
I think he kicked
Ty-
the golf ball. He
kicked
kicked
the
the golf
ball.
ball.
The 7-iron goes flying. And
A
I'm
rare
sitting
time
in the
break out
car.
of that bomb. Are you at the kidding me, Kale?
He was so mad.
swing. Don't tell me how to fucking hit the ball, dude. And I'm sitting there like, I look at Kyle like, ew, dude, he's pissed. And then Kyle's like, just don't look at him. Just look away, dude.
And I had to drive with Ty the next 3 holes. Ty didn't play for the next 3 holes. He just sitting in the car. Yes.
I think I
I
don't
think I kept
remember,
playing.
I don't
I think I
remember
kept
that part.
playing.
I remember the F-bomb and kicking the golf ball. And me and you were like,
Oh, yeah.
uh-oh, watch out.
He at least didn't finish that hole and didn't play the next hole.
Maybe.
I needed to cool off.
I can't.
Yes.
I can't.
And I'm just sitting there in the car with him, and we didn't say one.
Kyle's
word.
like,
I'm just driving.
I'm
Like
not saying
Talk
nothing.
about an awkward few moments.
I was there happy with my double bogey. Like I was just happy with that, and I'm like,
That's
oh,
the
cool.
best,
This is the
bro.
best I've started. And then we go on to the next hole. I'm like, Ty, do you want to get out? And he just looks at me, and then I think you played the 3rd hole finally, but
Yeah.
you definitely skipped.
I
a
got
hole.
one for
I definitely
Chew.
did not finish that hole.
So
for sure.
our North Carolina, Virginia rep, Chew, we were playing up there after the Green Top event, and I'll never forget this. He had his own clubs, and we're playing like competitively, and I'm using these shag bag rental clubs, right? And he's got his set, and he has a stupid old man putter where you putt forward. So I was like, to make this fair, use a regular putter this round. I'm using clubs that I've never even used, like this old rickety whatever. So he has another putter in his bag. So I said, use that putter. It'll be more even, because it'll be more close. So first putt with this putter, dude. He gets it and he freaking smashes it probably 15 feet past the hole. And I look at him and he's like, and I'm like, throw it, dude. And he freaking throws this putter into the lake, dude. And and the lakes are like dyed blue. So all you see is this like blue explosion, and me and Drake are just rolling around on the ground laughing. And he's like, I don't know if it was his grandpa's putter or something. He's like, that was a family heirloom, dude. I'm like, get down. I was like, let's see you get in that water. He did the same thing. I don't think he talked for the next hole. He was thinking about his putter in the lake and he just threw it just far enough to where he wasn't gonna like strip down and go get it. Yeah, there was no shot at getting it back. And Drake was, dude, I still talk to him about the family putter, dude. It's so funny, dude. And it didn't help because I saw the anger in his face, and we were playing against each other. And I look at him, I'm like, throw it, dude. Throw it. And he like wound up and hucked the thing. And from then on, I laughed for the next like 3 holes because I thought it was so funny.
I feel that pain. I
so
feel that pain. Every time I play golf, I feel that pain.
Yeah, golf is frustrating. So, all right. Well, does anybody else have any other fishing stories?
No, all I know is
think
just
that's good.
you don't tell a man how to swing on his second swing.
No,
you gotta at least
I
wait to
learned
the
a
3rd
valuable
hole.
lesson. I
At
did.
least the 3rd hole.
No,
Then
I
it's-
shouldn't. But with my swing at that current time, I should have been giving no one advice.
I think anyone on the course, you don't offer advice. If they're on the range, different story.
Or if
On
they
the
look at you
course,
and go, I suck, help me,
Please
then
help
you
me.
can
Yeah.
help them.
Because I also think that was right when Ty read Ben Hogan's book, and instead of changing one thing up in his swing, he switched it all up.
I
He just
remember
started
you were
new.
ate up with it because Ty's the kind of person, he's not going to half-ass anything. So like if he gets into it, he's going to get into it.
Yeah.
Like kayak fishing, you won a bunch of tournaments, you like it was like a science, So I feel like when golf, he's like, I'm going to learn how to play this sport, and I'm going to learn how to. Then he reads Ben Hogan's book, dude,
and just changed everything in his swing all at once.
It was rough for a
so
while.
hard, yeah.
I'm much better now.
Yeah,
I don't golf barely ever.
That's why
And my
you're
back
better, dude.
feels great, and my golf game's way better.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Right,
Golf
we should
is
go
for-
golfing next time.
Golf
guys.
is for windy days, you know?
Yeah.
We should do a video of us all golfing.
That would be hilarious.
Kenny has never played golf.
And he says he's never going to, but he's going to like it.
No, I'll just fish the pond.
You can just see it. That works. That's fine. That's fine as long as you're there. That
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
We'll pick a good one then that has like
Yeah.
tarpon
Yeah.
and snook in the ponds.
Exactly.
We'll figure it out.
Feather sound.
Well, hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of the Florida Fishing Products Podcast. We really appreciate y'all checking in. Be sure to like this video, comment below what you guys think, and be sure to share this as well. You guys really are the marketing for Florida Fishing Products. We really don't spend a lot of money on ad dollars. It's really all word of mouth. We're guys that love to fish for saltwater game fish. We make products for catching saltwater game fish, and we try to provide great customer service to back you guys up when you all need it. So anything that you guys can do to help promote FFP is greatly appreciated. Again, just a simple share, simple like would be awesome. We'd be over the moon.
Smash that share button.
Smash it.
Hard.
Just like Ty did to
To that golf.
his golf ball. Smash it.